Hey, stars, it's me, Shorter Star, and I'm back. Listen, I hope you guys are having a great work week and a great ending of your work week, if you know what I mean. Listen, I'm as usual drinking some tea. So if you want, get you some tea. Let's share some tea while I get you some tea. Okay? Okay, so look, I'm using a new mic today. I also wanted to let you guys know I'm using a new mic today. So please tell me if the sound is off or different. I think we've gotten the mic that we want, but let's see. Okay. And again, like I said, I'm not going to keep you long. Came across some stories and I want to share them with you. Okay, so let's start it off with I found out that there's an 18-year-old young girl, right? And she claims that she has been held captive in her family's home for the past 7 years. Okay. So this is what the story is. It says assaulted, locked in a door crate, and given a bucket for toilet. The woman who escaped years of captivity in suburban home, right? Now, as you see in here, this is the mother of the young 18-year-old girl, and this is her boyfriend. Okay, so let's get into the story and let's try to figure this out. There's a lot of little weird little things as far as I'm concerned about it. But yeah, yeah, we have to definitely try to get into it and let's see what it's about. Okay, so it says a New Jersey couple, right, is beyond behind bars after allegedly keeping an 18-year-old woman captive in their home for 7 years under shocking conditions. Okay, Brenda Spencer, 38, the mother, and her boyfriend Brandon Mosley, who's 41, were arrested on May 11th, days after Spencer's daughter, who has not been identified, escaped to a neighbor's house and reported the abuse. Now, the young girl is stating and allegedly stating that since 2018, the woman claims she has been a victim of sexual abuse by Mosley, the boyfriend, and was kept in a door cage and later confined to a padlocked bathroom where she was chained to a radiator. Okay? Now, this is supposed to have been going on for 7 years, and she's 18 now. So, which meant she was between 10 and 11 when this started. Now, my problem is what happened when someone just jumps up and stop attending school? Because at 10 or 11, clearly she was going to school. This happened in New Jersey. This didn't happen in, this happened in New Jersey, South Jersey. So what happened when she stopped reporting to school between 10 and 11 years old? No one ever thought about what happened to her. Where was she? And what's even weirder is that when the police went to investigate the allegations, right? And they went to the home, they found a couple of dogs, loose dogs, and a 13-year-old girl, which I believe is the woman's other daughter. Now, they're not saying much about her. They're just stating that, she was also found in the house, but they didn't say that she was chained or abused. I don't know anything about that. But right now, we're going to stick to the 18-year-old who states that she was made to be kept in a door cage. She was essayed by Mr. Mosley, the boyfriend, 41 years old, for the past 7 years. Her mother knew and allowed this to go on. And then they moved her from a door crate to a padlocked bathroom where she was chained to some pipes or a radiator or something like that, right? Okay. So my question again is, what liability does the state hold in this? And that's my question because, like I said, we all have to go to school. And if we don't attend school, people start calling, letters start arriving. We're absent for this amount of days. Then normally you would think another agency may be contacted to investigate it more hands-on. You know what I mean? Like go to the house. Where's the social workers? Where's the wow. So you can just fall off the map at 10 or 11 years old, not go to school, no one ever sees or hears from you again, and no questions are asked, right? Is that what you're saying? I mean, I'm asking people because that's what it seems like has happened because until she escaped, no one knew anything was wrong. And she claims she's been in this house for 7 years. The The neighbors who stated that the neighbor that she escaped to stated that she was just like uncontrollable. Her head was shaved bald for whatever reason. I don't know. And the couple had a security system as well as multiple beware of dog signs. So, like I said, when the police came, they found some loose dogs and then they found a 13-year-old. Um, I don't even know what to say about it. It sounds crazy to me. It's not one of those stories where it's that weird or that's that strange house at the corner, that strange house at the corner and everything is overgrown and you wonder what's really going on in there. You know what I mean? Well, guess what? I want to show you what their house looked like. Their house looked like this is what I'm saying. We have to pay attention a little more to our surroundings because things like this is happening right under our noses, right next door to us. And we don't even know. I mean, I think it's been plenty of times where I've seen homes on my block, right? Where people had kids, but the kids go off to college. So when you don't see them for a year or two or three, you don't think anything of it. And this is what the house looks like. It looks the shrubs, the grass is mowed. The house it looks like a nice regular house. You know what I mean? Like seriously, it's not that creepy. It's not that creepy house you used to think of when we were young in the corner, and you wonder, oh man, that man, you used to see him and his wife and kids. Now you only see him. You never see the wife and kid. It's not that anymore. It's regular, unassuming people that live right next door to say hello to us every day. May have somebody chained up in the basement or in the attic or in the bathroom. Man, it's really, really, really crazy. Like I said, they're just figuring out. So I would like to know how they got away with it for so long. So I'm very interested to keep up with this story. And when I know something, you'll know something. I promise you, because I'm interested to know who is really to blame for this. Really. Well, those of us that live in New Jersey and New York and we use New Jersey Transit, just know that New Jersey Transit strike could begin tonight. Service interruptions, alternatives, and what to expect. Um, I don't use New Jersey Transit because I don't work in the city anymore, so I don't use it very often. But I honestly had no idea that over 350,000 people use New Jersey Transit every day. I had no idea. They are caking. Because when I tell you it is not cheap to get on New Jersey Transit, over 350,000 people use New Jersey Transit on a daily basis. So, well, what's really happening is the engineers are threatening to go on strike. I don't know. I don't really have a dog in the fight, but I've always had somewhat of an opinion as far as salaries. Meaning, I'm not mad that New York Transit, like New York Transit. I have friends that are motormen and conductors and whatever, cleaners and everything, right? That was a job to have if you lived in New York some years ago, and probably still is. However, I thought that when I used to hear what motormen and conductors made on just regular New York Transit, I was like, wow, that is the job to have. They make more than police, they make more than teachers, and mind you, the trains are on the track. Keep that in mind. Okay, so apparently New Jersey Transit engineers supposedly, allegedly make $130,000 a year. Okay. And whatever contract that was opposed to them from New Jersey Transit, as far as to the employees, their salaries would increase gradually from 130,000 to 170,000. And you would say, wow, who's complaining about that, right? Well, apparently what the employees are stating that the numbers are inflated, that they don't make 130,000 and it will not go to 170,000. They're saying that, the contract that they're trying to propose to them, they're supposed to be going back to the table today, but they're saying that is inflated and those are not the numbers and they want real numbers put on the table, pretty much, right? So these are the engineers who's threatening to strike starting tonight, midnight, if nothing is done. But again, I had no idea that 350,000 people use New Jersey Transit every day. That's crazy. I would have never even thought that much. So we'll see. We'll see. Look, we'll definitely know by tonight because I mean the trains stop running at a certain time. I know my New Jersey Transit trains stop running, I believe, at 10 o'clock. So we'll know by 10 o'clock if they're going to be running again in the morning or whatever. I think the last train is at 10 and the first train is at maybe 6, 5:36. I'm not sure. But nevertheless, when I know, you'll know. Now, we talked about Tory Lanez, right? And that he was assaulted in a California prison and was stabbed 14 times, right? So he had 2 collapsed lungs. Like I stated, allegedly, he had been stabbed in the back and in the head, and I heard cut in the face, allegedly. We'll know when they want to let us know, right? Well, in other Tory Lanez news, it says Tory Lanez team, and that's legal team, presents new proof, blames Kelsey Harris for Megan Thee Stallion pop-outing. Now, if you remember the story, which everyone knew, Kelsey and Megan were best friends. And something happened one night when Kelsey, Megan, and Tory, and if I'm not mistaken, they were leaving. I can't remember the sister name right off the bat, but one of the Kardashians, she had a party, and they were leaving her party at her house. Something went down with Kelsey and Megan and Tory. And allegedly at the end, well, not allegedly, but at the end of everything, Megan the Stallion ended up pop out in her foot. So, things were going back and forth. No one understood because Kelsey and Megan were no longer friends. Tory was being blamed for pop-powing her because they were going together, and it was allegedly stated that Tory may have been messing with Megan and Kelsey, and they found out and something happened. This is all alleged, but again, he's now convicted and serving 10 years in prison for pop-powing Megan Thee Stallion. I think I do remember that he wanted to take the stand and tell the truth, but his lawyers didn't think it was a great idea. Please don't forget to tell me how this mic sounds, okay, guys? And they didn't think it was a good idea for him, and he still got 10 years for Pow and Megan Thee Stallion in the foot, allegedly. Well, it's not allegedly. That's what he's charged with, and that's what time he's serving. Well, apparently now new evidence have come up, which really isn't new evidence, which I find weird, right? Because this comes from a driver/bodyguard of Kelsey Harris. And he was her bodyguard and her chauffeur during the case when she had to testify and stuff like that. And I'm going to tell you what he says, and I want to know what you think and why he waited so long. Okay? All right. So rapper Tory Lanez legal team says they have new evidence that could change everything in the 2020 pop-powing involving Megan Thee Stallion, right? At a press conference held by nonprofit United the People, a former bodyguard of Kelsey Harris, Megan's former best friend, claims Harris admitted to pulling the trigger. So he stated that he personally heard her admit in his car while he's chauffeuring her and driving her, telling another family member or someone that she pulled the trigger, right? So Walter Roberts, a legal consultant for the group, he's going to read a statement from the bodyguard, whose name is Bradley James. So according to TMZ, I have to give credit to TMZ for this part of it. James said that he heard Harris say she fired the gun 3 times before Lanez tried to stop her. He stated that Lanez grabbed her arm, and during the struggle between Lanez and Kelsey, the gun went off 2 more times. Mr. James informed us he had no legal agreement stopping him from speaking, and he came forward because his conscience wouldn't let him stay silent, right? Well, again, rapper Tory Lanez, whose real name is Daystar Peterson, was found guilty in December 2022 on 3 felony charges, including assault with a firearm. He is currently serving a 10-year prison sentence following the conviction. Okay, so these are my questions, and these are just questions, and I mean, I'm sure you're going to have these same questions, right? So this chauffeur slash bodyguard who was chauffeuring and bodyguarding Kelsey, right? Who was Megan's old best friend. Because of this, they're no longer friends. Nobody ever understood it. Never understood why. It was always a little something else in it, but nobody really, we could, you don't know, you don't know. Okay. So apparently, he's stating that he heard Kelsey say that she pulled the trigger. And when she pulled the trigger, apparently Tory tried to intervene and grab her arm. And while they were tussling with the gun in the car, it went off twice. And Megan was then pop out in the foot, right? Okay. Now, why a gun was pulled, why a gun even came into play is what we've always wondered. Like, okay, you're arguing, you may not be getting along. A fight might even broke up, but why would a gun come into play? Okay, so, but my question is, why did Bradley James wait until now to tell this story when he admits he was not under an NDA where he couldn't talk about it? Now, had he signed an NDA, possibly he might really couldn't talk about it. But since he states that he was not under the NDA, why did he wait until now? Why didn't he give up this, speak to someone and put this out months ago? Or even while he was chauffeuring and bodyguarding Kelsey, why didn't you tell it then? Why would you allow an innocent man to be convicted and go to jail when you heard this woman with your own ears confess to doing it and explained what happened? I don't know. It's a little weird. I don't think it's going to make a big difference because again, Megan Thee Stallion, her legal team put out a statement and they said, "Listen, he's been convicted. He's now serving his time. This is going to trial, been to court. They don't want to discuss it anymore." Okay, that's fine. But again, why did Bradley James, Kelsey's driver and bodyguard, while she was going to the trial and testifying and doing whatever, why did he just come out with this? It just doesn't make any kind of sense. And to say his conscience wouldn't let him, your conscience, this man is already in jail serving. Now he was just stabbed 14 times the other day. Wow. I don't know about the conscience. I don't know what that's about. I don't think it has anything to do with your conscience because if that's the case now, this man has been serving time for a while now. Your conscience should have been come up. And come on, I don't know, people. Okay, so I told you that. Okay, so you know how? Listen, don't sit here and act like y'all guys are angels. We've all had disagreements with our partners, our girlfriends, and boyfriends at any age, right? Now, I've seen couples go at it in their apartment and you hear the noise and they're arguing and maybe even tussling and fighting. And then you start seeing clothes come off the balcony or she's throwing his clothes out the window and stuff like that. Well, this happened in San Diego. This happened at a San Diego apartment complex, right? And apparently, a boyfriend and a girlfriend, man and a woman, had gotten to an argument, a dispute for some reason, right? And for some reason, she decided to throw his clothes off of the balcony. And mind you, they live on the third floor. So she started throwing his clothes off the balcony. Seen that before. I'm from Brooklyn. I've seen this plenty of times. I've seen TVs and games and all types of things that really make somebody black out, you know? But this man, after she threw some of his clothes, and I'm going to show you a picture of the clothes on the ground, what did he do? He tossed her like his clothes, heaved her over the balcony. Boyfriend throws girlfriend head first off a third floor balcony after she did the same to his stuff. Okay, now this is the picture that I have, right? Let me pull it up a little bit. Now, these are the clothes. This is the police working, and these are the clothes on the ground. I don't see a TV. I don't even see broken glass or anything like you would think. You know what I mean, Shat? I just see clothes. So I personally don't understand why he would do such a thing over clothes. Just go out and pick them up. You're on the third floor. Just go out and pick them up. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what the story is. And the ages of this couple. That's important too. I didn't expect it. Okay? Residents of a San Diego, California apartment complex were left traumatized after a man allegedly threw his girlfriend off of a third-story balcony in retaliation for her throwing some of his items over the railing. Irene Williams, the girlfriend, 61, 61, suffered severe head trauma and a broken femur. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital where she passed away. Now, her boyfriend, Albert Turner, 57, stands accused of her first-degree unaliving. Okay? So we don't know what the argument was about. Not yet. Still being investigated. Again, I showed you the picture of the clothes. Excuse me. She threw his clothes and he threw her. And I constantly say that young people don't have conflict resolution. I don't know if it's just them now. Like, come on. When I read the story and found out she was 61 and he was 57, and I don't mean that age means anything, but at any age, a woman can get mad and throw your things out of the window and vice versa, right? But at 57 years old, you know what unaliving is. At 57, there's no way at 57 you've never lost anyone in your family. You've never seen accidents happen, so you know what unaliving is. And you know that if you toss this woman or anybody head first off of a third floor balcony, more than likely you know what's going to happen, right? So that's why I was so surprised at the age. You normally would hear something like this with the higher 18, 19, 20, maybe 25, maybe up to 30, but 61 and 57, diabolical. Diabolical. So like I said again, they didn't state what the argument was about, why they were shooting, while they were arguing. I'm sorry, already jumping into the next story. Okay, so let's go into it. Now this one is a little interesting. And I tell you one thing, she wasn't a quitter. This woman that I'm about to tell you about, and she meant business. Now, we don't know what the business that she meant, but she meant business. Okay? Well, let's go to this. Apparently, a woman pows her husband, right? It says, woman pows husband and unalives him in bed. Then tries to unalive son at work. Pennsylvania police officers states. Okay, so again, a woman unalives her husband in bed, then gets in her car and drives to her son's job, calls him outside as if she's bringing him lunch or dinner, and attempts to unalive him. Okay, so let's get into this. Seriously speaking, people are crazy. Are you for real? Listen. Okay, so a Pennsylvania woman has been found unalive after police say, right? She powed her husband and unalived him, then tried to unalive her son. An investigation began at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday, May 10th, with a 911 call in Upper Dublin, Philadelphia area suburb. The Montgomery County District Attorney's Office said in a May 11th news release. Okay, it says the caller who called 911 told officers he was at his FedEx warehouse job when his mother, 57-year-old Tanya Dupree, called him out of work. Once he got in the car, she pointed her firearm at his head. Okay, in her vehicle. Dupree, adult son, wrestled the gun away from her and she fled the scene. Less than an hour later, police searched Dupree's home in King of Prussia and found her husband, 62-year-old Robert Dupree Sr., powed and unalived in bed. Then at 11:30, police found Tanya Dupree unalived. I guess it was more of a self-inflicted unalive, right? So the investigators they will not say at this point what the motives was for the violence, right? But King of Prussia is a roughly 20-mile drive northwest from downtown Philadelphia. Okay. I don't know. I just don't know exactly what would make her unalive her husband in bed, then get in her car and drive to her son's job and attempt to unalive him. And when that doesn't go the way she plans, she leaves the scene, and then they find her an hour and a half later, where it was a self-inflicted unaliving of herself, right? I can only guess and speculate, but I'm not going to do that because that wouldn't be a good thing to do. I don't know what happened. I don't know what the story. I hope it really does because I'm interested to know. You know, instantly when you think, okay, she unalived her husband and then came to unalive her son, you would say, okay, what was going on with the husband and son? It's no telling. You know, listen. If I find out any more about it, I promise you, I will let you know when I know. Real talk. Now, seriously speaking, now those of us of a certain age, we're familiar with the Pointer Sisters, right? Now, June Antoinette Pointer, she was the youngest of the Pointer Sisters, right? She was born November 30th, 1953, and passed away April 11th, 2006. She was again the youngest of the Pointer Sisters. And if you know a few of the Pointer Sisters, we're going to talk about June. I'm not even going to talk about the others. But apparently, one of the sisters is now telling the story of such a troubled life June led, which us as people and fans of the Pointer Sisters, we never knew. I did know allegedly that she was on drugs at one point. Well, I'm going to read. Okay, she said June Antoinette Pointer, right? She was born the youngest of the 6 children to a minister parents, Reverend Elton and Sarah Pointer, right? Well, apparently she was known to have a cocaine addiction, and she had went into rehab and different things, and all through the years she had a troubled life, but we just knew that she had a troubled life. We didn't really know what that troubled life was and why it was such a way. Well, one of her sisters is telling the story now how June was, I'm gonna say, essayed. How can I say this? At the age of 14, she was ganged essayed at the age of 14. Okay. And this is something that affected her for the remainder of her life. I'm going to tell you what they said. They said June was married to William Oliver Whitmore II from 1978 to 1991. She had no children. She was addicted to cocaine for much of her career, and she was ousted from the Pointer Sisters in 2004. They kicked her out the group in 2004. June was charged with felony cocaine possession and misdemeanor possession. And then she later died in 2006. She suffered a stroke while hospitalized. She was diagnosed with the final stage of gastric cancer. And then it caused, it's metabolized in her pancreas, in her bones, her livers, her lungs. And she passed away at UCLA Medical Center in Santa Monica, California in April of 2006. Well, now you can understand sometimes why people have such troubled lives and why they tend to gravitate to alcohol and to narcotics, and you wonder why. And they're really troubled. Who knew that she was ganged, essayed at the age of 14 by friends, by people she knew? So apparently I'm just saying, allegedly, at 14, she hung around a group, and that group is the group that ganged essayed her, which led her down this. I guess it was a lot for her, and that's what led her into the drug addiction, I'm assuming. But it's interesting to know now the background when you find out people some of our celebrities that have passed away during overdoses and things like that. And their lives seem so great and so everything because we're stuck such in a materialistic we go by what we see, when that really doesn't matter is what the person is really going through. And the statement that's always being said, you never know what someone is really going through. So that's interesting to know. And I didn't know that. And my mother, oh my God, she was a Pointer Sister fan. She would have loved to hear this and just to know it because it answers questions. It's answered why she was so troubled and things of the sort. So I thought you guys would like to know that. I know that certain people of a certain age, I was like, okay, right? Okay. So I know that it's vacation time. I've stated that to you guys before. And I know that a lot of people are, booking their cruises, already booked for their cruises and different things. Well, I want to tell you what's going on with cruises to Mexico. Now, it may not mean a big deal to you at the moment, but let me show you how big of a deal it could have been. Now, get this. Now, it states, let me pull this picture up correctly. It states that cruise ship passengers must pay fee upon arriving in Mexico starting July 1st. So if you're on a cruise and it's going to Mexico, no matter where it's coming from what I'm seeing, they're actually putting a tariff. That's what they're doing. They're putting a tariff. So this tariff thing is going across the board. Like, you put a tariff on me, I put a tariff on you. I put a tariff on you, you put a tariff on me. It's getting ridiculous. You know what I mean? Okay, so I'm going to now tell you what they're saying. Give me 1 second. Bam, bam, bam. And they're saying starting July 1st, cruise ship passengers arriving in any Mexican port will have to pay a visitor's fee, right? Okay. Now, the Mexican government and the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association arrived at a compromise this week to implement the tariff on visitors. So they're given a tariff, and now anybody visiting through ship, through cruise, because you're usually there for a day or two, and you're there. So when you get off to go, I guess, to go through Mexico, hang out, do whatever it is you're doing, you get the day on the island or maybe 2 days on the island, but you still come and spend a night back on your ship. I've done the cruising, so I understand. But guess what? They were trying to do a tariff of something like, let me get the figures right, because it was about to be bananas. And Mexico knew that this wasn't going to work out well for them. So they fought and fought and fought. And now they came to an agreement right now, which is a great agreement for them for the amount of people that a ship holds. Okay. Now keep this in mind. So starting July 1st, cruise ship passengers arriving to any Mexican port will have to pay a $5 visitor fee. Now, I know you're saying $5, this is what you're really talking about? Yeah, I am, because guess what? The tariff fee that they wanted to implement was $42. They've been fighting for $42. Then it went to $21. And somehow they've come to an agreement at $5 a passenger. Because I'm just stating this is allegedly, I don't quite know, but say if there's 5,000 people on the ship and you got 3 ships coming in, 5,000 people may not get off the boat, but at least 2,000 to 3,000 of them, and you're getting $5 each person. Mexico is about to take, because these ships are coming in every day. Okay. Now, again, the reason for this story was they wanted the tariff to be $42. Can you imagine? $42 per person at maybe 10,000 guests a day, because you got 2 ships or 3 ships coming in, a certain amount of people are getting off. You're talking, I'm just being clear, with 3 ships, at least 10,000 people in a day. You're going to charge them $42 tariff? Baby, the streets better be made of gold. So again, now they've agreed. It went from $42 to $21, and now it's $5. They're saying over the next 3 years, however, that fee will increase back to 21. Remember, I told you it was originally 42 and they brought it down to 21. So they agreed for the next 3 years, it'll be $5 per passenger. However, over the next 3 years, the fee will increase, not maybe, not possible, will increase to $21 a passenger. So again, if you're on a cruise ship, and I'm just saying the cruise ship may hold 4,000 people. Let's say 4,000, 5,000 people. They're making these ships big as cities. Let's say 5,000 people. Well, 3,000 people get off your ship for the day. Or for your ship, 3,000 off the next ship and 3,000 off the next ship because there's usually 2 ships at least in port at one time, at least. Can you imagine charging 10,000 people $21 each on a daily? The ships are coming and going every day. This ain't just on a Sunday or Tuesday and a Friday. This is every day. I don't know, Mexico. I mean, this tariff thing, people have seemed to have really lost their mind and finding any reason because the fact that I visit Mexico pretty often. I've actually, I've been going to Mexico since maybe the early 90s, right? And I've probably been to Mexico seriously. I've been to Mexico probably at this time, definitely 12 times, 13 times. Like that many times I've been to Mexico. And with Leighton alone, we've been to Mexico probably 6 times just on our own. And I had been 6 or 7 times before him. So yeah. So yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. And they use our money. You go there, Mexico, like for instance, right? I remember being in Mexico. This happened a few years ago. I remember being in Mexico and I wanted some potato chips. You know how we eat Lay's potato chips? So there was a store outside of my hotel, and I went to it. Baby, a bag of Lay's potato chips that we pay 99 cents for, or maybe $2 or $3 now with our prices, they were 15 American dollars then. And I've been in Mexico a few times in the past few years, and they're the same price. They're no better. You're paying anywhere between $10 to $15 for a bag of Lay's potato chips. Not the little bag. It'll be the medium bag, but it's going to have the same air in it. But they state that the prices for these items are so crazy because they're imported in. They're not made there. So they're being imported. So that's the reason why they charge these astronomical prices. But $21 per passenger is diabolical. It's ridiculous. That's crazy talk. That's a lot of money. Okay, so this is going to be my last story, people, and I want to. Okay, so these 2 parents have now been charged. Well, let me tell you the story. Let me bring it up. Let me see if this is the one, and then this is the one, right? Okay, so we're going to bring this one up, and we're going to do this. This is the parents, the mom, and the dad. A Virginia 3rd grade, a parent's charged after gunfires in 3rd grader's backpack. A Virginia 3rd grader brought a loaded handgun to school and it went off inside of his backpack. Okay? This is in Virginia. So this is the parent, this is the mom, this is the dad. Just want you to know who we're talking about. Okay? And let's get into the story a little bit. Okay, so let's see, baby. It's crazy because now his parents are facing the charges. Okay, so the gun went off inside of a classroom in Lee Hill Elementary School around 10:50 a.m. on Monday, April 7th. All right. There were no injuries. The student did not appear to have intended to harm anyone, meaning I believe that the gun was in his backpack. He took it from home, allegedly, the pow, and might have threw it down. Kids forget. Kids forget what they did 4 seconds ago. Probably threw it down, it went off. No one was harmed, and it wasn't like he brandished it or pulled it out and did anything. It was in his backpack, okay? So deputies say the 8-year-old had found the unsecured firearm at home, stuffed it into his backpack, and went on. What happened was he was reaching in his bag. They state exactly what happened. He was reaching in his bag to pull out his books and stuff, and his finger hit the trigger, and it went off in class. He said the teacher quickly evacuated all 26 students and notified the school resource officers. After a two-day investigation, both parents, 36-year-old Sierra Armstead and 34-year-old Terrence Carroll Jr., were arrested on April 8th. And now they're being charged with the gun. And each was charged with reckless leaving a loaded, unsecured firearm in a way that endangered a child under 14 years old, and willfully of neglect, endangerment of life of a child in their custody. So this could have turned out really bad. This could have went any kind of way, but for the grace of God, the gun went off. No one was injured. And but yeah, these parents are now being charged. And I tell you guys all the time, if you have firearms in your house, secure them. These babies don't know. They play too many. See, the thing is, y'all allow them to play these violent video games. I'm being honest with you. And this is not alleged. A lot of parents allow their young kids to play these violent video games, and all these kids want to do is play with a gun. They want to play with it. They want to see what it's about. They want to experience. And they don't know. They don't know that their lives are in danger, because the kickback of it, depending on the gun for a child, may not be a good thing. You know what I mean? Listen, guys, I want you guys to be intentional. I want you to be in the know. Please protect the children. Whatever you have at home that needs to be locked up, lock it up. Come on, we don't need to be having to deal with that, this, and more. It's unnecessary. Lock it up. Lock it up. Listen, I love you guys. Again, I want you guys to be intentional. I want you guys to be informed. Again, I thank you. I want you to like, comment, share, subscribe. Okay? Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I love you guys. And until next time, be good to one another. Love you guys.